Welcome to the Leaderish Podcast with your hosts, Regina and Doris. Hey, Doris, how's it going?
Hi, Regina. It's going extremely well. I'm having a fantastic week. How about you?
Oh, same. It has been a really great week, except for my child not sleeping last night. I love networking with women, and I got to do several networking events this week. So I am like full.
Same. In fact, I went to a podcasting networking event, and on Thursday night, there's a Nashville podcasters group on Facebook. So I joined the Facebook
Yeah.
group and I joined the group live at the Entrepreneur Center in downtown Nashville. And I'm hoping you can join me in September.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. I had no idea that that even existed.
Yes. So, Regina, what is in your cup today?
Oh, I waited. Okay, I mean, it's not really special, but I do enjoy the sound. It is just a seltzer water. It's blackberry citrus, and it's quite delicious. It's actually the Kroger brand, so it's kind of, it's not even the name brand stuff, and it's so good. It's one of my favorites. How about you? What's in your cup?
I don't think you need name brand. I am not into name brands at all. And I definitely not in the beverage arena. Unless it's a good bottle of wine, then maybe you do need a name brand and a bottle of wine.
Okay, yeah,
So
go for the name brand.
I have a complete mishmash of stuff in my cup. I have had a very busy morning and I like to, one of my routines is to drink greens with my workout. And I did yoga this morning and I didn't have time to finish my greens. And then I had one meeting and then another meeting. And I wound up putting my greens into my cup with some leftover water from yesterday. And I put it in my car with me and I'm still working on it. So these are my breakfast greens that I started at 6 o'clock this morning. I hope it's healthy to eat greens or drink greens this late in the day.
Oh, I mean, I can't imagine it's not.
Well, and it's in one of those protected cups. I think it's fine.
I think it's fine too. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, sounds delicious.
Actually, it is. I almost miss my greens when I don't drink them.
Oh,
If I
well,
skip a day of greens, the next day I feel like something really was missing the day before. So I enjoy drinking my greens and I combine it with a little bit of grapefruit juice too. So I usually put it in 32 ounces of water and part of that is some grapefruit juice. And that's how I enjoy my workout. I drink that with my workout.
very cool. I love it. I learned something new. Well, Doris, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about corporate detox today.
Mm.
And when I was doing some research and I Googled corporate detox, everything I found was the toxicity inside of a corporate environment. And I realized we need to explain how we're defining corporate detox today.
Mm.
And for us, corporate detox is a little different. And corporate detox, the way that we're talking about it today, really you can think about it in two different directions. One is you've decided to leave corporate for different reasons. Maybe it's retirement, maybe it's for a family or a health situation, or maybe you're starting a new business like we are.
Hmm.
Or it could be from maybe it wasn't your decision to leave corporate America for maybe a little more negative decision. Maybe you were fired, or maybe the company is going in a different direction and it had some massive layoffs. And so I think you can look at those in each of those different directions and it's a different perspective and a different mindset. As you're detoxing from each one of those situations, you might have to approach those situations differently depending on where your mindset is based on where you came from in corporate America.
What I love about that and what is the thread that goes through all of those examples is that you are no longer going into an office from 9 to 5 or logging in from 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever your work hours are, right? So
Mm-hmm.
many days a week with a schedule that is dictated by a company. That's kind of the common thread in any
Mm-hmm.
of those situations. And then, so it sounds to me like what we're going to talk about is like what happens when you don't have that richly scheduled day from a beginning time to an end time every day. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. And that it's being dictated by someone else, that someone has control over you, your time, your schedule. And now you're moving into a world where you are controlling it, and how to do that strategically, because I think some of us struggle with that. We may come away from that working environment and even feel guilty. Well, I need to be in front of my computer. It's 9 o'clock. I've got to be in front of my computer. Whether you're looking for a new corporate job because you were laid off, or you're starting your own company and you feel like, okay, I've got this structure. I have to this, I mean, I've been in this structure for 20 or 30 years. So clearly I have to keep the same structure. And sometimes you've got to move away from that and step aside and say, no, you can approach this very, very differently.
I love it. So that what happens to us often, and this is exactly what happened to me when I left corporate America. I decided to start my own business. I was really excited about it. I was really passionate about it. And like day one of not going into the office, like at 8 a.m., I was at my computer and I was like scheduling things and I was like sending emails and I was meeting people. And I had like this pretty richly scheduled day on day one. And when after about a week of that, I looked back and I was like, what did I accomplish today or this week? What I realized is that I hadn't accomplished much. I hadn't actually accomplished anything that I wanted to accomplish in
Mhm.
that time frame. And it was hugely eye-opening for me.
For me, it's a lot more about being strategic. So when you're approaching your day and being strategic about what it is that you want to accomplish. So starting the day with intention, or
Mm,
starting even the week. Sometimes I have too many things on my to-do list. I put it all on Monday, and it's not possible to get it all done on Monday. So
right.
what I've started to do is make a to-do list for the week, and knowing that I think these are the things I can accomplish this week. But being intentional and strategic on what do I want to accomplish this week based on the outcomes that I want to have by the end of the week, or even the end of the month, or the end of the quarter, or the end of the year, that it's going to get me to the goals that I've set for myself. But being strategic and knowing that it's okay to have little divides in there to play pickleball, or to go have lunch with a friend, or to approach everything from a completely different mindset and be okay with that.
Yeah. Back to how we met, it was, at 8 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, right? And we were not punching a clock. Instead, we were walking with a group of entrepreneurial women and met and
Mm-hmm.
had a great conversation there. Figuring out what that valuable work is. One of the things that I like to do is I like to set a goal for the day or the week so that I
Mm-hmm.
know what it is I want to accomplish. And I'll give you an example there because I'm much newer at this than you are. So sometimes my goals may seem very small, and that's okay for me right now. But I had a goal to connect with more leaders and people who practice talent management. And what I realized is that my network of folks in that area of talent management was only the people that I had worked with at companies who do or have done talent management. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got really strategic and got on LinkedIn and started connecting with people all over the United States who do talent management. And my goal was to meet with at least 5 people that I have never talked to before and just talk about talent with them. That's it. Just talk about talent, whatever challenges they're having, offer anything that I can to help and support them, give them advice or share some of my experiences. And I think that week when I set that goal of 5, I actually got to 7. And I was cheering myself on at the end of the week. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort to do that. But I had set a very strategic goal for myself and finished the week out strong. So I was feeling great about that.
And you should feel great about that. And number one, that is not a little goal. I think that's exactly the kind of goal that new entrepreneurs need to have. In fact, I've heard it many times before that you, rather than focusing on revenue, focusing on the activities, because
Mm,
the revenue will come. building your business will come as a result of doing those activities, but knowing which activities to do. And you might even have to try some and fail at some of them. That's a big part of starting a new business, is trying a number of different things. And what's exciting about entrepreneurship is that you can fail, and you don't have to, again, the only person you're really accounted for is yourself. And failing is moving forward. I think there's a book written called Failing Forward.
Yeah.
So failure, you've got to have failures in order to learn those lessons, in order to move forward.
Yeah.
And that is so important. And I think you're doing a great job. I know that I have been doing this a little while longer than you. I learn every day. I don't think that I have a leg up on you in any way, shape, or form. In fact, if anything, I think you might have the strategy down better than I do. I'm still trying to figure exactly out which 5 people I need to call every single week.
Well, I think that my strategy changes regularly. Like I give it a try and then I'm like, nope, that doesn't work. So I'm good at figuring out what's not working for me,
Mm-hmm.
and then try something new. So I'm great at that. You also brought up like retirement. So we've talked about entrepreneurship, but I think that corporate detox is different for those going into retirement. By the way, today is my dad's last day working. He has been employed with the same company for 46 years.
Wow.
46 years. Today is his last day working. So I'm super excited about him. And so I didn't talk to my dad about this, but I did talk to my mom about this. I'm like, what is dad going to do? He can't do nothing. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, honey. And so she's gone through all the different things that she's going to start getting my dad involved in so that his time is used in a different way, because he can't just sit around doing nothing. He needs to be enjoying life. So there are some clubs and things that I think my mom and my sister and I are going to talk my dad into joining, and his friends will, get involved in all of that and get him really active in new things. My mother, when she retired, she started doing stained glass. She was in sales for a gazillion years and
Mm-hmm.
retired and started making the most beautiful stained glass. You can see her work on glassonionstudio.com.
I will check it out.
It's beautiful. And that's how she fills her time. And that is what she feels good about doing. And that is what gives her happiness and joy. A couple of retirement examples, but there's also the layoff example that we brought up as well, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
looks a little different from starting your entrepreneurship journey or retirement. So what does it look like to corporate detox after a layoff?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to go back to the retirement for just a
Oh,
second.
yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. I listened to one of your old episodes, and you had made the comment, you were talking about, what do I want to be when I grow up? And you'd made a comment, well, unless you're retiring in 2 years and then you don't really have to worry about it. And I thought, actually, I think that is a great time to think about, what do I want to be when I grow up? And really based on those examples that you just gave me on your mom and your dad,
Yeah.
growing up doesn't mean, okay, I am 6 years old and what do I want to be when I graduate from college? But what do I want to be when I grow up could mean, what do I want to do now that I'm retired?
Yeah.
And you cannot do nothing after retirement. I 100% agree that I'm so glad that your mom is doing stained glass and you're going to get your dad into some things. And I don't think I will ever retire from a standpoint of doing nothing, because I think doing nothing is the worst thing that you can do. And you hear about people doing nothing and it doesn't end well. So
Yeah.
you really want to be very active after you retire. But you're right. It's a different mindset. You now can do what
Mhm.
you want to do. You can do stained glass. You can travel. You can learn new crafts, or you can take on part-time jobs. We have a neighbor in the neighborhood that I live in that retired, and she now does part-time work just to keep herself busy for
Mhm.
a few hours a week. So she still earns a little income. She probably doesn't need it, but she does it so that she can fill part of her day and feel like she has some value and purpose. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up from a retirement, that I
Yeah.
am such a huge believer in staying just as busy when you quote unquote retire,
Yeah.
when your income is really coming from your 401k or your pension, than when you were active as a corporate employee.
Yeah, and then you can really connect with your passion and purpose,
Yes,
as you said. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
that's awesome.
And from a layoff perspective, so I was laid off a year ago or a little more than a year ago. And it came with a generous severance package. So I didn't feel like I immediately on day one had to sit in front of my computer. In fact, I took about a month and I did a lot of gardening. There was yard work that I needed to get done. So I did take some time off. But I know other people that I have worked with that when they were laid off, it was that immediate, okay, I've got to improve my resume. I've got to rewrite my resume. I've got to work on my interviewing skills, and I need to send my resume or apply for as many different jobs, throwing spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks and what comes back. To me, I feel like if you have the ability, if financially you're able to take a little bit of time, I would encourage people to take some time and think about what it is that they want to do. So I was
Mhm.
able to take a few months and really think about what it is that I want to do. That wound up getting me into the coaching, and I became a certified business coach as a result of taking my time, having lunch with folks that were business coaches that had been through the program, that thought that I would make a really good coach. And as a result, I took that time, went through that coaching certification, and started building my business from there. So it may be a different approach after you get laid off. It also may depend on what your financial situation is.
Of course.
Are you able to take that time and really look for the job that you want? Or are you in a huge hurry? Maybe you only have 2 weeks of severance. So financially, you've got to think about that as well.
Well, and I think that if you get into the right mindset, some people can do both and apply for
Yes.
all the jobs and all the roles that, they 100% match the skill set for, but then also take an inventory of their purpose and passion and figure out what it is they want to do and how do they want to use those skills. I think you can do
Mm-hmm.
both as long as you can get over the suck of a layoff. I've been laid off too, so I know that suck
Mm-hmm.
very well. I can feel it now just even talking about it. For me, when I got laid off, it actually like just stopped me in my place for a week. Like I could hardly do anything. Couldn't go to the
Yeah.
grocery store. Like I was devastated because
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that I was, a top performer and a key player and all of
Yeah.
that good stuff. And then to get laid off was really hurtful to me. There's another kind of point that I wanted to bring up too, and it doesn't really matter if you've been laid off, if you're an entrepreneur, or if even you're retiring and you want to do a little, side work for a couple hours a week. One of the things that has been the most impactful to me is rediscovering my point of view. And I'll explain that just a little bit because it took me a while to figure out that I'd lost my point of view. And by losing my point of view, what I mean is that when you're in the corporate environment, your point of view often becomes that of your boss and your boss's boss or your dotted line boss or, the leader of your
Mm-hmm.
organization. And in order to survive within that organization, you adopt their point of view because you can't always fight back, right? Even if you have your
Yes.
own point of view, you can't constantly be the nagging Nelly.
No.
So you start adopting the point of view of others and you pick your battles. You push back when you need to, but you do adopt a point of view of the others. And one of the things that I have been doing, and every week I dig very deep into this still, and I still have a lot more work to do, is to figure out what is my point of view. And before you and I got on today, I was telling you all I did today, all I've done today is work on my point of view on the talent review process. Like that's all I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Today was all about what is my point of view, not my old boss's point of view, not my old CHRO's point of view, not my boss from 4 bosses ago point of view. What is my actual point of view and what does my experience tell me on what is right and what is wrong within that process? And
Mm-hmm.
it has been like today was so enlightening just working on that from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's all I did. It was great.
That is fantastic. That's really great. And that's another that point of view. And I think similar to trying and failing is I think the point of view sometimes can change too as your entrepreneurial or your business moves forward. That point of view may also move forward and evolve depending on what it is that you're trying to do or what you believe today your goals and accomplishments are going to be.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I have found that even from 2 months ago, as I dig deeper and deeper and deeper into my point of view, it does continue to get more clarity. I was going to say morph, and then I was like, no, 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 it's not morphing. It's getting more clear. And I am able to have a conversation on my point of view much better than I was in the past. So
Mhm.
that has been eye-opening for me. And I have talked to several people that are in this transition mode, whether they chose to be or not. And the one piece of advice that I give them all as they're transitioning out of their corporate roles is figure out what your point of view is. And the way that I recommend that, it's not for everybody, but I have a few folks that are doing this, and somebody recommended this to me, is I recommend that they do long form writing. By doing that long form writing, they really clarify that point of view and they continue to ask themselves questions to get a really crisp and clear point of view on their subject matter expertise.
That is really, really great advice. And I know that when I left, and it took me a while to start thinking about writing, and I do enjoy writing, and I try to make it a point to write every day. I am not always successful. And I remember when I had to force myself to start writing, and I literally wrote the words, just start typing. And the first words that I wrote were just start typing so that I started typing, and then the next sentence came and the next sentence came and the next sentence came. And even though I enjoy writing, sometimes I don't know where to begin. And sometimes you just need to push yourself over the edge with literally it doesn't matter what the words are, just put words on the paper and the next word will come. And I know you're going to ask me later how I'm going to fill my cup, but I'm going to spill some beans now. I'm going to a writing course in
Oh,
not this weekend, but next weekend. And it's more creative writing, but I'm very excited on going to this course with someone who is a professional writer and hopefully helping trigger some of those creative juices that as you're putting your point of view together, some of that comes from those creative juices that you have inside of you. You just don't sometimes know how to get them out.
that's right.
Sometimes you just need prompts and someone to ask you the right questions. So I'm gonna put you on the spot, Regina.
Okay, do it.
What are two questions that you should put on this long tour, or even one question? What's the first question you might ask yourself as you're pondering your point of view?
Yeah, the first one that I did is what do I believe? What do
Mm.
I believe to be true? I think were my exact words.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I had to do, because there are a lot of things that I know about and I have expertise in. So then I had to break that down to say, like, today's exercise was, what do I believe to be true about the talent review process? And then
Mm-hmm.
I started asking myself, well, what's broken? What needs to be fixed? What could be better? What do I think companies can do to make that better? And so it was just this, I just kept going through this process. And I'd stop and read an article or watch a video. No, 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 I don't know. Nope, that person's got it all wrong. Or, oh, that person, that there's some nuggets in there. Yes, that I believe that. So I do take some
Mm-hmm.
of other people's stuff when it kind of jogs my own thought process, but to keep digging in and keep asking yourselves questions. But I think the first question is, what do I believe to be true about whatever it is?
Yeah. No, I think that's really, really great. And that kind of leads into another thought process, kind of along those same lines, is knowing your why.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need to solve this problem? Or what is the problem that you're trying to solve
Yep.
to get to that why? And I'm sure we've all heard of Simon Sinek, and he wrote a book called It Starts With Why. And it goes into that whole corporate environment of the businesses that are successful because they started with a why and they continued with the why for the length of their business.
Yeah.
And he gives a couple of examples like Apple. they really understood their why. They struggled a little bit when Steve Jobs, they fired Steve Jobs and then brought him back because they realized they didn't have a why. But even Disney, he gives an example of Disney, and you just know the why of Disney, that just to bring joy to people.
Yeah.
And when you know your why, and I think that's a big part of, as you said, it's not just for the entrepreneur, it's for someone even looking for a job, and
Hmm.
knowing what your why is and knowing your point of view, that will help you succeed long term.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree with that. Knowing your purpose, and that's why I use like purpose and passion, those words.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the why is probably the easiest way to say that when you talk about your purpose and passion. So, yeah, that really
Mm-hmm.
resonates with me.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I think you found a couple articles. Did you want to share any of those articles
Yeah,
before
in
we
fact,
wrap up?
yeah. So the two articles that I found. So this is when I was searching for, what is out there on corporate detox, and when I realized it was more about the toxicity in a corporate environment, and I thought that could be a whole nother
That's a
podcast
whole
episode.
nother podcast
That's a
episode, girl.
whole nother
Oh
episode.
boy.
We probably want to bring in experts. But I did find two articles, one that was a little bit older. So this is from Scott Mounts. This is from 2019, and he had left corporate America in 2017. And he had 11 lessons, but the three that stood out to me, one was significance over success, meaning or to leave a meaningful imprint beyond personal achievements. So I think
Hmm.
that really fits well with the why and the point of view. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about money. It's about how are you making a difference in someone else's world? How are you from a talent management, Regina? You want to try to improve talent management. One of the words you used was what's broken.
Hmm.
So you want to leave a positive imprint on the world of talent management. So I think that one is important.
Yeah.
Continuous learning. You and I are huge believers in constantly learning. Sometimes I think
Constantly.
I'm signing up for too many things
You
but I
do.
constantly,
You do. I'm
I
going to
know,
throw it out there. I'm going to throw you under the bus. You
please
do.
do.
Because every time I'm like, oh, hey, look at this. You're like, oh, I'm in. And I'm like, okay, girl, just pick something.
I know, but just constantly challenging yourself. And then this is my favorite. There were a couple of things I underlined two times. Preparative past. So as you reflect on your corporate days, knowing that your previous experiences laid the groundwork for your current endeavors, and appreciating how every step led to your current path.
Oh, I
And that's
love
what
that.
I know. And I underlined that twice. So we need to appreciate how every step that we had before
Yeah.
in our corporate life or even at home or where, so those previous steps have led to our current path. And it's kind of that old mind, you are exactly where you need to be right now. And it's based
Yeah.
on what happened to you in your past. I mean, sometimes that past can include some really bad or traumatic things that happened to you, but they have guided you and brought you to where you are right now. And being appreciative and honoring that past, knowing that it's helped get you to where you are today.
That reminds me of an episode we did in November of 2021. Are you ready for a career change? Otherwise known as the
Mm-hmm.
Purse Brownie episode.
I
Um,
remember that one. I laughed so hard. I listened to that one this week.
First Brownie episode. Same thing, because Jen walked us through her whole career path, and like she even had a job in there that she absolutely hated, but
Mm-hmm.
talks about how it helped her define her passion and purpose
Yeah.
to get to the next thing. So whether it is a bad role, or you're taking a break, or you're starting something new, or you've been laid off, figuring out what it was in the past that's preparing you for the future. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the other article, this was more of a New Year direction. So this was written at the end of 2023 by Jessica Stillman. And I thought it was expert opinion by Jessica Stillman, sorry, in Inc. magazine. And I think it was originally published in the Harvard Business Review. And it was really thinking about, okay, what do I want to do in 2024? So this was written at the end of 2023, and there are 7 questions to ask or 7 things to think about. And so again, I picked out 3 of my favorites. Defining a great life. So start by defining what success means to you. Beyond societal norms like wealth and status, consider deeper values such as joy, social connections, and personal achievements. So again, that fits right in what we were talking about with that point of view.
Mhm.
And life purpose, that your life purpose should align with your skills, the world's needs, your values and passions, and your life vision. So along those same lines, develop a detailed vision of your ideal life, thinking about the legacy you want to leave and the experience you desire if financial constraints were removed.
And we'll link both of those articles in the show
Yes.
notes so that folks can go out and see those full lists.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for pulling out some of your favorites. And what's so interesting is I did not read those articles, but everything that we've talked about has aligned with both of those articles amazingly.
100%.
Yeah,
I
that's
know. I know.
fabulous. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I think we've had really great conversation here. If there were a few things that I would apply within the next 24 hours, I would say that if you are on a break from corporate, the first thing that I would recommend to folks in the next 24 hours is to start rediscovering their own point of view. I think that's one of the most
Mm-hmm.
impactful things to me. What about you?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And I would even think about these articles is thinking about the legacy that you want to leave. So
Mhm.
writing that down, I love your long form writing. Think
Yeah.
about what is the legacy that you want to leave? What is the most important thing to you? And how can you start moving forward from there?
I love it. And so your point of view really is about what you believe today, and your legacy is where you want to get in the future.
Hmm.
So you're present focused and you're future focused by doing
Yes.
those two activities. That's
I love
beautiful.
I love how you reworded that. Yes, that is perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Well, episode 2 for season 3, what do we want to bring to the table for episode 3? I have an idea. I put it on our little thing, but I didn't know if you were feeling the same way.
I think I listened to one of the episodes where you talked about values,
Yeah.
and I love the values idea. So I know you wrote that down and
Yeah.
in the little notes, and I have a couple of exercises that I've used to write down my own values, and we won't get into those today, so we'll save those.
Yeah.
But I think that would make a great next episode because I think it
Yeah.
ties really well into what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Understanding and taking a little bit of an inventory on your values will help you to create that will help you with that long form writing and will help you create your legacy that you want to leave in that strategy. So I think it all fits very, very nicely together.
Okay, then we'll do it. We will focus on values for our next episodes. And I'm sure our listeners that I'm sure they'd want to hear what your values are. I'll go through mine again too.
Hmm.
And we'll talk about some ways to get to your values and some exercises that we find helpful to get there. So that
Yes.
sounds great. Love it. We'll do it.
Well, I love the how we start and end this podcast. This is one of my favorite parts about it. You start with what is in your cup and you end with how are you going to fill your cup? And so I am going to ask you, Regina, how are you going to fill your cup this week?
Well, not only is my father retiring, it's also his birthday on Saturday.
Happy
So
birthday,
I
Dad.
know. So we're going to, oh, and it's their anniversary today, 49 years. I mean, my
Oh.
parents have this like whirlwind happening. It's really happening to my dad. My mom's part of the whole, my mom's part of it all, but like my dad's retiring. It's their 49th anniversary, and it is his birthday. And I'm not going to tell you how old he is. He wouldn't care if I told you. I'll just tell you he's 30 years older than me, and y'all don't know how old I am, or some of you do. So
Well, you're 29, right?
I'm 29 and a half. Thank you. Yeah. So we are all going to my parents' house to celebrate him, and I am making his favorite cake, a yellow cake with chocolate icing, all from scratch. So let's pray
Oh,
that
I
it
love
turns
it.
out good for my dad. How about you,
It is going to
Doris?
be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. And congratulations to him. Happy birthday, happy anniversary, all of it.
I know, right?
I am going to fill my cup. I'm going to play some pickleball this weekend because
Yes.
I need my pickleball fix. I haven't played in a couple of weeks. And I met with someone today. I had coffee with someone today who earned the bronze medal in the Senior Olympics of Pickleball for Tennessee. And so that's a new
That's
goal that I've added
amazing.
for myself. I want to earn a medal in the Senior Pickleball one of these days. And I already told you about the writing program. So I think
Yeah.
before we record our next episode, I will have taken this writing program. It's a friend of mine in Toastmasters, and I'm part of the Franklin Toastmasters group. And she is a fantastic speaker, fantastic writer, and she's created this creative writing program called The Muse. I love the name of that. And so I'm going to be in her beta program. And she
Awesome.
invited me to do that. So I'm going to do that next weekend. And I'm super excited about that as well.
Great. So maybe you'll get real creative about your values. Who knows what's going to happen?
Who
Oh, it's going to be
knows?
so
Who
exciting.
knows?
All right. Well, that is about it. We would love to talk to you. All of our links can be found in the show notes, including those 2 articles that Doris mentioned. Follow us on this journey as we delve into all things leadership. Also, we would love a review. So, would you take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and a comment? We would be forever grateful. And if you're interested in being a guest on Leaderish, Leadership Lessons Straight Up, and you have an engaging topic, please reach out to leaderishpodcast@gmail.com with your desired topic and some information on how we can stalk you. And we'll follow up with you. Doris, cheers.
Cheers.